I want to talk to you about adult coloring. And a lot of us really do enjoy the stress releasing activity of just sitting there and coloring in a coloring book without having to think of any big serious issue, right? Or some of us work through those serious issues while coloring. I want to say up front, this video is not talking about high-level art. We're not talking about materials for artists that make a living of this and use very high-level things. This is simply for your everyday person that likes to color in a coloring book. So what I figured I would talk about was first the books. After the books, we'll go through markers, gel pens, and pencils that I can share with you through my journey, what I have found, what works, what doesn't work, what I like, what I don't like. Because it can get expensive as we go out there and buy things. Maybe not individually, but cumulatively, you know, $10 here, $5 there, $7 there. Next thing you know, you've spent a lot of money. Only to find that you didn't like how it worked. So hopefully I'll share with you my experiences and it'll help you decide what you would rather color with. So first, books, because obviously we need to talk about coloring books. They come in every size, shape, theme, subject matter, everything. So these are pretty small. These are 6.5 by 6.5. This is by Arteza, which is a pretty high-level brand. This little book, I love mandalas, so I warn you, you're going to see a lot of mandala books. They're small and a lot more intricate. The lines are very light. So when you do your coloring, you can blend to your little heart's content. You won't have too many dark lines. Now they run from very expensive. This little one was $8. There are some online, some of the ones by Johanna Basford. Hers can run up to $20 for a coloring book, but they're very themed and they're very intricate, very well laid out. And by the time you're done, if you do blending and stuff like that, it almost looks like a landscape painting. And these are mandalas that I just showed you. These are, again, 6.5 by 6.5. These are flowers, and they can get as intricate or as simple as you want them to be. Then we have just about any subject matter. These are fanciful faces. This is by Creative Haven. Let me see if it has the price in the back. Yes, it does. This is I don't know if you're going to be able to see it clearly, but this is $5.99, this particular book. And it's gorgeous. If you like coloring faces, this is absolutely gorgeous. I thought I would give it a try, and then I never really felt moved to do it. And I never did. So this is going to be a gift for a friend of mine that also likes to color. And I'm just going to give her all the ones that I really don't use, because I've discovered that what I really like is doing mandalas, and that is what relieves my stress the most. There's dragonflies. So we have insects too. And this is one that I enjoy because the dragonfly is my daughter's symbol. So I do enjoy coloring dragonflies. All different kinds of stuff around it. Owls. And this is just, you know, there's no way that I could show you everything that's out there. I just wanted to show you the variety that you can find. This one is animals, just just in general, animals, if you like animals. There's dogs, butterflies, fish, chickens, parrots, swans, even monkeys, wolves, birds, rabbits, eagles. Just there's everything that you could ever imagine in a coloring book. If you look for it, you will find it. If you're into architectural shapes, Johanna Basford, again, she has this series called Little Town, and it's just beautiful, different scenes from this little town that I'm not sure if it's real or not. This one is a different type of animal design. This is one of those almost folk looking, with all the little bits and pieces that you can color in whatever colors, and it looks very folky, like folk art. And it has all different kinds of animals. I mean, it's beautiful how they come out. It's gorgeous. I did one or two, and frankly, I didn't really enjoy it. So this too will be for my friend. Once again, for mandalas, even within the mandala world, you have a lot of different. I have Celtic mandalas. This one is celestial mandalas that have all these heavenly stars, moons, sun, just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful pictures, and so much fun to color. Even this, I wanted to include this because I'm a quilter, and this one is a coloring book of quilt blocks. So you can design your quilt blocks and each your blocks, and then kind of tie them together however you want them to look when you put them together. So it's not only a great way to color, but it's also almost like you can design your own quilt and then go make it and make your own pattern. So you have the blocks on one page, you have them put together on another page. I love it. I haven't had the chance to do this. In my opinion, needs a little bit more thought. It talks to you about the color wheel and putting colors together in order to make quilt blocks. It's a little different from just coloring. But this is a neat book too. You also get themes. You get them in all seasons. I love Christmas, so here's a little one of Christmas if you want to travel with it. I took this one with me one time when we were traveling for a few hours in a car, so I was able to do some coloring while I was in the car. Another Christmas on the full size, and again, another Christmas with a little bigger, different kinds of items. So you can see there's tons and tons and tons. This is just a very small sample. I have book bag after book bag full of these things. It's just really a matter of taste. It's what you like. It's what you can afford. Let me show you what you can get at a dollar store. You know, I got the mandala at the dollar store. These are dollar store findings. You know, the quality of paper is a little lower. The lines are a little darker. But they're still a lot of fun, and it's only $1. And we'll look at these a little more when we talk about the utensils, I guess, the tools of the trade. But you can get anything from $1 to $20. So it's up to you what you want to, what you like. Amazon is, for me, the best place to go, aside from the dollar store. You'd be surprised the pretty books they have at the dollar store. But you can go to Amazon and type in adult coloring books, and you will have so much to choose from, it'll be overwhelming. So you may want to focus. Do you want to color animals? And you may want to put their adult coloring books and then take a look. They show you some pages inside so you have an idea of the kinds of images that they have. And you pick the ones you want. Because it can get overwhelming if you just do adult coloring books. There's so much there. But if you focus a little bit more, you can say Christmas adult coloring books. You can say architectural or buildings, or the Bassford Little Town series coloring books. And then you'll get a little bit narrower in your search. And it'll make it a lot more manageable for you to find what you want. Okay, so that's pretty much. I mean, you want to take a look at the quality of the paper, and that will change from one price to another. That doesn't necessarily mean that a $20 book has the best paper quality. It just means that it's probably a little bit more intricate. Maybe the paper's a little thicker. My recommendation is that you have either a cardstock, even though this is a little bit more like a poster board thickness, or you may want to use, this is parchment paper, and that you put it under the page that you're coloring. If you're coloring with gel pens or markers, and you put it under, and then you color. If you're coloring with pencil, you don't have an issue. But if you're coloring with markers or gel pens, you want to put something underneath so it doesn't come out on your image under that. So just as a precaution. If you're coloring with pencils, here's another thing I've learned. There are some wax paper squares. This is what I use. You can use just a regular piece of paper. I use these. These are the patty paper squares. They're little wax paper squares. And I'll grab one, and as I'm coloring, I have it under my hand, right there, and I color. I've discovered that when you're dealing with pencils, it'll come off on your little pinky. If you're like me and you have your hand on it, it'll definitely come off here, and next thing you know, you've got smudges all over. So that's pretty much what I use for the books while I'm coloring. Just a little trick that I learned after having ruined a couple of pages. Okay, so that's about all I want to tell you about the books, and maybe we'll talk a little bit more as I go along, showing you the different pens, pencils, markers that are available out there, and all the different price points. Okay, so let's move on to markers. Before we go into details, for those of you that want to take adult coloring to a higher level, there are two books that I really enjoy, and one is called Color Workshop. It's a step-by-step guide to creating artistic effects, and it basically shares techniques and then gives you the pages for you to practice them on. It's great. It gives you blending, embellishing, I mean, all sorts of different techniques for you to do when you color. The other one is Colorist's Special Effects. Again, tips and tricks, ideas, also giving you the opportunity to practice it yourself. When it gives you all the explanation, it will also give you so that you can color as well. So that's just, again, there is no right or wrong when you are coloring. It is whatever you like, however you like. It is your world, and you do whatever you want. The idea is for this not to be stressful and relax you. So you do whatever you want. But I do know that some people just enjoy new techniques, trying out new things, and I would say these two books are a great place to start. All right, let's move on to markers. I want to start with that because not a lot of people color with markers because the average marker will crumble your paper because it has a lot of water in it. So just to have an idea of the different kinds, I have a couple of styles of markers that are very inexpensive. These are Sharpie type, and they are from Dollar Tree, so they're only $1, so they're very inexpensive if you want to use a Sharpie. That they come in sets with different colors nowadays. But as you see here, it has nice coverage. Oh God, I can't even color within the lines, can I? There we go. It does bleed. It does bleed. And then I'm doing this and these shapes right here. But this is copy paper, you know, computer paper that I printed them out. In the regular coloring book paper, it may not. You still get some, you have to go back over it. Okay. So that doesn't look too bad. Here's the, let's see on the other side. It bled totally through. So you have to be careful with that. That's why I use these heavy cardboard sheets. I bought those in Amazon. They are for, like, to put a magazine, to preserve a magazine. That's what the boards are. But they're great for everything else. I fold my quilt fabrics on it to put them away. It's just great. Now, if we look at a coloring book, it may not be because the page is very thin. It may not be as clean cut as that. And let me see if I can find an uncolored one. Here's one that I started testing different markers. Let me try the same red marker. And let me see how that works. Same thing, it's coloring very nicely. It does bleed. And of course the paper is thinner. It absolutely went through and actually ruined my other one. Okay, so this one is not bringing up the paper. This type is not bringing up the paper, but it does bleed into the other, you know, it does bleed out. And of course you have to have something behind it. So those are these permanent markers that look like Sharpies. Sharpies. So let's see, the red and the Sharpie brand. Okay. Right on the other side. It's a little finer. The point is a little finer. Trying to see if it bleeds. This one's not bleeding. So the Sharpie is not bleeding. I can feel it a little rougher on the paper as I go. And it is bringing up paper. That's interesting. I really would have expected the other one to be rougher on the paper. Instead, the Sharpie is. As you can see, the other one covered fully. I don't know if you can see here that there is, it's not fully covered. I don't know what my lighting, what's going on with my lighting today, but it's not, it's not being as good with the lighting. Let's see if you can see there. There we go. As you can see, this side has streaks on them, whereas this side is solid. And this, you can't feel it, but I feel a little bit of roughness where the paper is going in. Now, this is the Sharpie, and it does not bleed. Whereas this one has more coverage. Didn't bring up the paper, but it bleeds. Sharpie leaves streaks. This one does not. So I guess if you're careful with the bleeding, didn't have as much going through as this one did, as you can see. So maybe in the back you can see the streaks. See those white marks? That's streaks. So I would have to go back on top of it, which would bring up the paper even more. Okay? So that's Sharpie and permanent markers. We stick to the $1 range. There's this set, also from Dollar Tree. $1, you get 20. And stick to the red, I guess, since we started with the red. And start on this side this time. And this is already ripping through my paper. Point is finer, smaller, so it's better probably for more detail work. It's bringing up the paper something fierce. I have crumblers all over. I don't know if you can see it. Not sure that my camera can capture something that small, but it is full of little crumbles, and that's paper. See that there? That's paper that it has brought up, totally rough, brought up a lot of the paper. Not good coverage. The color isn't very intense. So, yeah, right off the bat, I'm not liking it. And I want to show you, I did do a test with different colors of this same set. And it is, all the colors, we have the same problem. It was ripping the paper. There's just, to get it right, you have to go over it and over it and over it to get it nicely covered, and what that ends up happening is you rip through the paper. So I would say this is a no. This set is a no unless you're coloring on wood. If you're coloring on wood, then I would recommend these. For $1, you can't beat it. Alright, so middle of the road. I don't have a red in the middle of the road. I do not have a red. Alright, I do not have a red. I do have an orange. Or purple's darker, let's see. These are brush and they're called brush and bullet. So it's an art marker. It's by Spice Box. It has a brush on one end, just a long, pointy, and really soft at the tip, and just kind of like a regular fine tip on the other end. So I'm going to start with the brush. The brush tends to be softer in when it colors. It covers as much or as little. You can do, you know, different styling. But this too, it is water-based. And anything water-based, you know, water and paper. Right? And we're doing bigger space with the brush, of course. I'm already feeling the coarseness on the paper, and I'm already seeing the streaks. I'm trying to fill in the streaks. The paper is crumbling, and I can still see the streaks. Maybe when it dries I won't. And here we go again. Here's just crumbles. Once again, we got crumbles on the tip. Okay? Alright, so that's the purple. On the brush side, you can see it. It did cover pretty good. Didn't go through the back very much, which is also good. But it's still a little streaky. And again, I don't know if you can actually see that. Maybe I'll try a lighter color and see if that helps. Let me try with a pink and see if it shows up clearer. There's another thing. You know, the pinks are usually like neon pinks. Oops, I'm crumbling again. They're usually neon pinks. Maybe it'll show up better on the camera. See, that's the thing. I'm trying to get the streaks, but the more I do it, the more crumbles come up. Oh, this one really crumbled very much. And I can, here we go. See that? See that little crumble there? That's paper. So, that's one of the biggest, if not the most important. But here we go. See? All the streaks. And it's all bubbled up, and that is the water in the markers. Now I'm not going to even try to do this one because it's harder, not as soft as the brush, and it will, number one, take longer, but it will bring up, it's bringing up the paper. It will bring up a lot more paper because it's stiffer and harder. So I'm going to stick to the brush. So that's middle of the road as far as pricing is concerned. So here's the thing. What we've seen so far is that more expensive isn't better because they pretty much all do the same thing. Now the surprise here was these permanent markers from Dollar Tree that were $1. I was very impressed with those. Didn't bring up the paper at all. So that was a pretty neat surprise. But definitely the issue here is water-based. That's really the big issue. This is a better top of the line. Now this is not the most expensive and highest quality. I don't use markers for the most part, water-based especially. So I didn't want to invest too much in them. So I did, again, a higher middle of the road. These are Heath Run, and they're considered to be pretty decent in the affordable range. This set cost me, I think, $12 or $13 for 34 colors. So, and again, water-based is pretty much for wood. I use it. So let's try. We decided that a light color works better, so I guess I'll try with the pink again. Or this is maybe a hot pink, so maybe kind of dark. But let's see what this looks like. And this is brush tip. And then a very, very fine tip. Even though you can see how fine it is. It's very fine, probably for writing. And doing, you know, maybe some pretty looking writing. So I'm going to use the brush tip again on my little hearts. And yeah, it is hot pink, but that's okay because we just want to be able to see if there are streaks. And I'm feeling it. Yep, I'm feeling it catch. I do, I'm feeling it catch on the paper, but not as much as the other ones. This one's going on smoother. I do see some crumbles, seeing that. But the coverage, although better than the other one, it's still leaving me streaks, and as I try to cover the streaks, there's more paper crumbling. And it's on the tip of mine. Pick that off. I always have a little wet towel here. Yeah, so that brought up paper, but really, I don't know if you can see it, but look at the crumbling there and the streaking. Look at all the crumbles. All those little crumbles, that's paper that it brought up and left it all warped and bubbly. All right, so that was pretty much giving us, even though these colors are gorgeous, as you can see, that is just absolutely beautiful. And they, again, water-based. So this isn't about pricing. This is about what it's made of. And it's made of water. They're water-based. And that's where the issue lies, I think, for the most part. I cannot get these straight again. Here we go. All right, let's close these up. Okay. Put these to the side. And then what I consider high-end, because they're not only are they expensive, the material they're made from. If I'm going to work with markers, this is my preferred because of their colors and the vibrancy of it. And I will show you an example. Let's see if I have a pink in here. These are alcohol-based markers. Now, they come in all price points, and these, they're good. If they're alcohol-based, they are good. So if you're not going to be constantly using your markers, don't go out and spend $100 on a set from, I don't know, high-end, like, what is it, Tamron? You know, don't do that. Don't do that. These are, I got them on Amazon. I got a set for like $18. I got beautiful, beautiful colors. And actually, I'm eyeing a set that they brought down in price. I may order it this week. It's 100 colors for $21. So I may order those, because if I'm going to use markers to either color on coloring books or do whatever other on paper, alcohol-based is the way to go. So let me show you. So there's a fine point and a broad point, which is the chisel. I'm going to use the chisel for the sake of fast coloring here. And here we go. I feel it's very smooth. I don't feel anything catching. It runs very, very smooth. It's covering nicely. I can go over it several times and I don't feel anything lifting as far as the paper. Yeah, I do need a new set. These are slowly drying up because I've had them for a while and I've used them a lot. Which is the only drawback of the alcohol ones. That's why you really don't want to spend a lot of money if you're not constantly using them. Alright, now the thing about alcohol markers, see how many times I'm going over? I have no crumbling whatsoever. It evaporates immediately, it's dry immediately. Now, as the ink and the alcohol in the ink evaporates, and you do need a back one. It does go all the way through, so make sure you put something behind what you're painting. But as you can see, there is no streaking at all. And then as the alcohol evaporates and dries, you will see the true color coming out. You already see it through here. Just a much lighter pink. It doesn't have as much yellow in it. It's not as neon as this one or as dark as this one. This one is kind of almost like an orangey pink. This one is a true pink. Okay, so the vibrancy of the alcohol markers is really what my favorite thing is, because as you can see here, you can see all the sketchy, you see all the streaky, if you can see that, especially on the green, it's very streaky. This is alcohol based. You can actually see all that. There you go. The colors are amazing. The colors are vibrant. They're non-streaked, intense colors. And that's what I love about coloring with alcohol markers, if I'm going to use markers. So for me, that's the way to go. But it is a preference. Some people swear by regular markers, and that's what they want to do. Okay, so let's set aside our markers. Put all this aside, and let's take a look at gel pens. Now,